Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla, let's go over the market, and let's figure out what is happening and what we can expect as we have a pretty, arguably one of the biggest weeks, if not days, coming up on Wednesday for Tesla in quite a long time. Probably one of the most important earnings calls in honestly, as far as I can remember, to be completely honest. So this is going to be huge right now. Obviously, we have Netflix reporting at the end of today. Once the market closes, that noise is, by the way, chatter flow, give me notifications, which I can turn off for now. So I'm going to turn off for now. But yeah, let's jump into it. By the way, quick question down below. Let me know in the comments. Let's get some sentiment, check over here. What are you doing for earnings personally? Let me know down below in the comments. Are you bullish into earnings? Are you bearish into earnings? Or are you sitting on the sidelines and letting it play out and then deciding from there, which, is like the safer option? Now, let me know down below. But with all that being said and done, let's dive into it. Tesla. By the way, if you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. And my membership section on YouTube is live. The link is down below, $3 a month. In the description, the link, right? So check it out if you're interested on all these updates and whatnot. I constantly post a flow update on Tesla, which is a paid service, which I have a link to down below if you're interested, 25% off. But let's just jump right into it. Tesla closing the day slightly in the green, actually. Up, well, there's still a bit of time left, about 6 minutes, but we'll say about flat on the day, in all honesty, which compared to the market, ever so slight underperformance, but it really comes down to just waiting for the earnings report here, right? We have clearly found at least a temporary bottom, right? Now, is this the bottom? Or is this just we're going sideways until earnings? That's the question. Nobody knows for sure now. But we did find a rough bottom pretty much in this, around 210-ish, give or take a few dollars level, as we have been pretty much bouncing and holding around this general area for quite some time. So now, let's talk about the good news and the bad news. Now, it's interesting to know that there is some pretty bearish sentiment. Now, in yesterday's video, if I ever say anything bullish, it seems like on Tesla, people are just really upset. They're like, wow, how could you say anything bullish about Tesla? It's ridiculous, which makes me wonder, like, this, it's pretty bearish sentiment. Like, usually when I've seen Tesla sentiment get this bearish, we're pretty close to a bottom. But with that being said, obviously with something like earnings coming out, you never really know. But let's talk about the bearish aspects first, actually. So first and foremost, the weekly chart. The weekly chart, like I said many times, and it's not been looking good for a while, and it's still not looking great. Now, again, if there is a spot to bounce, it is, of course, this massive green rectangle, which has served as a massive support and resistance in the past, which at the moment, as of right now, still acting as a nice looking support. Will it act as a true support, as in an area that will actually bounce from? That remains to be seen. But we are breaking below trend lines. We're breaking below this massive trend line that we broke below on last week's candle. We're below pretty much every meaningful moving average on the weekly. We're breaking now below this weekly, there's a yellow trend line right here you can see, right? Again, there's still, of course, a lot left to the week, especially a week like this. So this can definitely change for better or for worse. But as of stands at this very moment, we are obviously well below that. And it's not looking great. That's not, you don't want to be closing below these trend lines because that signifies that the move to the downside potentially has only just begun, right? Obviously, you'll have some bounces in between. That's not to say that we'll just completely crash from here. I mean, we might, you never know with Tesla and Elon, but, obviously you'll have bounces in between, retests, etc. So it's not just going to be a straight downward spiral, but it just kind of gives you an idea that the trend seems to be now really truly to the downside, and there's really not much to question about that. So just take that into consideration. We'll see how the week closes. Now, don't forget, I did talk about an interesting resemblance between last week's candle and this week's candle. What could be this week's candle, at least compared to these 2 weeks over here, right? Same kind of spinning top-ish candle last week, closures, right? Followed by the next week, which is the week we're currently on this candle right here, massive sell-off to start off the week, which is kind of what we're seeing right now. We were seeing some of that weakness to start off the week, and then it exploded back up and ended up closing substantially in the green compared to the previous week, which can be a potential catalyst, or the earnings can be a catalyst for such a thing to happen as well, and essentially replicate what we had over here pretty much currently in the situation as well. It could be a very similar idea. Obviously, it comes down to earnings. Now, the main thing I'll be looking for is this, right? I obviously want Tesla to close above this yellow line. That's at least in the weekly, which isn't that far above us. It's only at about maybe 213, 214, something like that, right? I really would like to see Tesla close above that this week. That would be the ideal scenario. If it doesn't, that's not great. And if it doesn't, at the very least, we're coming back down to 200 itself. We're probably going to be testing that. And if that fails, I think there's a decent chance that we come back down to 180s to 170s sometime within the next few weeks. So take that into consideration, right? There is hope for the bulls, but with that being said, it's not looking great. Pretty much the only saving grace here is either a better than expected earnings and or good guidance during earnings, positive guidance during earnings. Will we get that? Who knows? But that will be the thing that can save Tesla still here. Now, with that being said, let's take a look at the daily really quickly. Same kind of idea on the daily, right? We're obviously, closing below these, trend lines, which isn't really good. The RSI is still substantially oversold. The MACD is oversold. The Williams percent is oversold. The stochastic is pretty much at the very, very bottom. Like every single of these indicators that kind of suggests sentiment, I guess, momentum slash sentiments. Yeah, the sentiment is obviously very, very low. The momentum is obviously very, very low, but it's also very, very oversold. We're pretty much scraping the bottom of the barrel here in terms of oversold conditions. Doesn't mean it can't get more oversold. For instance, back when, Elon was selling, well, we got pretty ridiculously oversold. We went substantially lower than even where we are at right now. Obviously, that was a pretty special circumstance, but just to keep in mind that, things can get oversold and they can stay oversold and they can get more oversold. Just understand that. But if history is any indicator, anytime we have gotten oversold, well, Tesla has found a pretty respectable bounce not too long after. So just take that into consideration as well, right? No one knows what's going to happen, especially with earnings around the corner, but we are substantially oversold, even though the indicators are not looking great. So some things are saying that the bottom is near and the bounce is close. Other things are saying that, well, we're looking pretty bearish here because we're below, again, every moving average. That's important. 21 EMA, 200-day moving average, 50-day moving average, 100-day moving average. We're also dropping below trend lines. So I personally don't feel ridiculously bullish here. I'll be completely honest. I don't feel super, super bullish. I really would need to see earnings. I need to see how it reacts to earnings. And then from there, we can really kind of reassess and get a better idea. But as it looks right now, if earnings wasn't around the corner and I was just looking at this chart as is, it's looking bearish. It's absolutely looking bearish. And it's not looking great for the bulls here right now. So take that into consideration. Now, on the weekly, the squeeze indicator is still showing red circles. We haven't picked a direction somehow. I don't know how, but we haven't. But we obviously picked that direction on the daily chart quite a while ago, right? We've been playing it out pretty substantially, and we now have arguably played it out. There might be more to play out, of course, but we have played out this, massive squeeze that was folding up all the way back up here to the downside, which it did suggest that downside was where it was going to go, and that's exactly where it went. So that has played out as well. But all in all, I think the situation we find ourselves in right now is we just simply wait for earnings. Now, the one thing that short term can be potentially maybe somewhat promising for the bulls is the fact that we have arguably broke out of this downtrend, these green lines, right? You can see we started all over here, got rejected here, we got rejected here, got rejected just, what was that, yesterday, I believe. And then today, another major, rally in the morning, which, like I said, the bulls were stepping in towards the end of the day yesterday. And if they exited this position, right, their positions right on this rally in the morning, they got paid pretty respectably. I think Netflix earnings come out. Oh, did I check that out after? Let's see how Netflix is actually doing quickly. They literally just reported. I want to see. This shows aftermarket a little bit better, so I want to see how they're doing. They're up substantially. Beautiful. But yeah, so we'll see how it actually ends up playing out here. So we'll see. But arguably have broken out of this downtrend as well, which is not a bad sign for the bulls. But again, there's still more work to be done, especially with Tesla's earnings literally tomorrow. So all in all, that's kind of what I'm seeing in terms of flow. It's been all over the place. Definitely, more bearish than bullish today. It started off bullish. The flow in the morning was kind of bullish, and then the bears really started to pile in on Tesla. You can see pretty much ever since like the 3 p.m. and higher, it's just constant flow of red, like a lot of red, a lot of bears piling in. So we'll see how that actually plays out as well. The bears are definitely coming into Tesla here and putting a stop to any further rally, at least until earnings. So we'll see how that impacts Tesla as well. But with all that being said and done, ladies and gentlemen, that's kind of what I have right now. At the moment, like I said, and this is what I'm saying for my subscribers as well, it's just a patient game. It's a patience game. It's a waiting game for earnings, and we'll see how that plays out. But all in all, thank you so much for watching. And as usual, I'll see you for the next one. Peace.